Russia wants to win just as badly as everybody else, right? Hey folks, welcome back to Bullets and Brass. Today we are talking about a family and then a single cartridge that is one of the, if not the oldest, still in common production, is the most produced both domestically and internationally by a large margin. More of it, in the US at least, more of it gets made than everything else combined. If you haven't figured it out, the caliber we're talking about is 22 rimfires. We're going to focus on 22 long rifle, but it starts in 1873. Correction. Hopefully, you haven't already commented. It's 1845 for 22 BB cap. Longer gap. It was 1873 for 4570, which is kind of the next one that's still around. With 22 BB cap, there have been prior things. There have been other things in this genre, but 22 BB cap is the first one that really took off and was the same family of cartridges, meaning it worked the same way. You could theoretically put it in a modern gun. It is what it is. Well, 22 BB cap was actually intended for parlor shooting. Indoor is exactly what it sounds like. It's indoor, at home, target shooting. And this was a sport for the gentry. It assumed you had a big enough parlor to make this sporting. It assumed you had leisure time and money for this kind of activity, including replacing windows and fixing holes in the wall. And, if you shot your wife's couch, you could deal with the consequences. Well, 22 long rifle comes out in 1887. Didn't take very long. What else is in that age group? You got 4440, 4570, 32 Smith & Wesson, 38 Smith & Wesson, 45 long Colt, 38 long Colt. So how do you go from 1845 with 22 BB cap for indoor shooting, target shooting, almost no energy, to 22 long rifle? And the answer is a really strange path. It gets longer, it gets shorter, it gets longer, gets shorter again, more and less power, all sorts of different intended uses. It really went all over the place. 22 long rifle was kind of hey, we can handle higher pressure. We can make this do what the higher power current round at the time could do. 22 long rifle is a derivative of 22 long and 22 extra long. Longer, or it's the same length as 22 long, but with the bullet of 22 extra long and more oomph. And you got to keep in mind, 22, all of these cartridges, you can, on a longer barrel rifle, you actually can lose velocity because all the pressure has been used up and you're actually slowing down before you leave the barrel. You're still talking black powder, you're then talking the transition to smokeless powder. On some of the lower power versions, you actually got more energy out of a pistol, a long barrel pistol, than you did out of a rifle. Very weird stuff. So you do still see 22 BB cap sold. It is still produced, which makes it the oldest round still in production as opposed to, somebody making it by hand. And the reason it's still produced is basically novelty. They usually sell it in little historically not accurate, but replica tins and things like that for collectors, museums, anybody who wants to kind of have it to go with their antique revolver. Now, in terms of production, quality control has improved, and quality control is critical, absolutely critical on rimfire rounds, which we'll get into in a second. The key difference between a rimfire and a centerfire round is how it's primed, how you detonate it. Rimfire, it's just that. There's primer compound in the rim of the cartridge. It isn't a separate cup. It isn't a separate piece you add to the case. It's literally in the rim. They do that by putting primer down into the cup and spinning it. Centrifugal force pushes that primer compound out to the edges. and it then dries, solidifies, whatever it's going to do. Well, that's great if everything goes the way it's supposed to. If your quality control isn't good enough, that can create some problems. Historically, that was often solved by using 2 firing pins where it was critical, but it is one of the things that has kept rimfire from being a mainstream kind of thing for critical tasks. And you either get misfires or you get hang fires. Without sufficient quality control, it's really a problem. And the problem is that quality control is expensive. It adds significantly to the cost of an otherwise very cheap round to produce, which is why you see a big difference between cheap ammo and high-grade ammo. If you want really good match-grade 22 long rifle, it can be very expensive, $1 plus per round at some point. Whereas the cheap stuff, you may get the occasional misfire, you may get a hang fire, you may just get inconsistent, it isn't quite the same as the others, but it's cheap, very cheap. Lucky Gunner here on YouTube has a video. They got to go visit Federal and see 22 being made and video it. Go watch it. It is a great video, shows the steps, shows the process, good stuff. I'm not going to get into the details. So I mentioned that internationally a lot is produced. Well, a lot of what is produced internationally, not necessarily by volume, but in terms of manufacturers, is high-end ammo. And one of them may surprise you, Wolf. Unlike their centerfire stuff, they make some absolutely world-class 22 long rifle ammo for competition. Russia wants to win just as badly as everybody else, right? And national pride, they are a major nation, they want their own ammo. They want to be producing it in-house. Now, Great Britain, the US, even Russia at this point, it's not a state-owned thing, but you support it. You purchase your ammo from them rather than somebody else. There's a national pride involved. Maybe they get some tax benefits and so on, right? But there's always competition. Domestically, the manufacturer that is in that position is Federal. And keep in mind, Federal is not federal, meaning they're not government owned. Federal is just an ammunition company. Well, they make the ammunition that our Olympic team uses. And they have for quite a while. But most of the competitors in the US that shoot 22 long rifle actually shoot Ely from England. And the reason for that is, in general, Federal doesn't make much high-end 22. They make a very small amount, and they jump from it's okay to their premium Olympic grade product. So for most people, anything in between, you just couldn't get Federal to do it. So in terms of use, there is essentially 3 tiers, and then it breaks up into like subgroups. There is plinking, training beginners, just having fun, casual use. This is where you get into bulk packs of ammo, relatively inconsistent, unreliable. It's just cheap. The goal is minimal cost as long as it works. And then you get into casual competition, hunting, general purpose, but it has to work pretty reliably. And then you get into, oh my God, super precision, top of the world kind of stuff. And these are very distinct categories in the market. The super cheap stuff historically was as low as 25 or 2.5 cents a round, 3 cents a round. The hunting grade, casual competition, just wanted quality ammo, where it was more reliable, 4, 5, 6, or 7 cents a round at the most. You'd see hunting rounds in the 7 or 9 cents round the most. For example, CCI mini mags are a very popular hunting round. They're also very popular for people like me who want a more reliable round. They're very consistent, but they're not really match grade. But if I'm using them, for example, a very dirty 22 pistol or a very dirty 22 Ruger 1022 that, cleaning is kind of an afterthought. I need a little more oomph, and I need something that goes bang every time. Well, CCI mini mags are that round. They're great at that. Well, it's like it used to be $7 for a 100 pack. Yeah, it was a good shot, good ammo. I don't know what it's going for these days. I didn't look. So that was good ammo. And then you hit things like Ely Target, Ely Match, Ely 10X, RWS, RW50, SK, Wolf, where you can easily spend $300 or $400 for a brick. Some of the high-end Ely and Federal, $800-900 a brick. But that comes with an expectation that this is truly Olympic grade ammo. It's still cheap. If you compare that to match grade centerfire ammo, it's cheap ammo. For complete beginners, for people who are unfamiliar with the terminology, a pack of 22 is usually 50 rounds. Occasionally it'll be 100 rounds. I don't think I've ever seen anything other than 50 or 100. A box could be more. It could be a bulk box. It could be a 50 round box. It could be a 333 round box. You see all sorts of sizes. But usually if people say a pack of 22, they're talking about a 50 round box. If people talk about a brick, it's 500 rounds. That's a brick. A case is 5,000.